Hello again. We're gonna do another class today. This time we're gonna do some grammar, very basic grammar. Okay? Let's take a look at this right here. We're going to talk about the parts of a speech, right? Parts of speech. And there are a few parts of the speech, but we're gonna go with them really fast. I just want you to know which ones they are, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and start with the first one, which is going to be number one over here, and we're going to call it the noun. Okay, but what is a noun? Well, let's see. If you think about this, when we are babies, the first words that come out of our mouths are either mom, mama, or dada, or dad, or papa, or something like that. Why? Because babies are trying to create a new world in their mind, right? And they see so many things, but the things that they see always and all the time, they are those huge people. They look like something like animals, but babies don't know that they are humans, and they don't know that it's mom and dad, but they just see something that moves all the time, and then they don't even know that they look like them. But they want to call them. They want to find a way to call them, to put a name on those things. Later they'll find out there's mom and dad. But so what they do is they create a name to refer to those things. So the noun actually is a name. Okay? A name. So we created telephone. Nowadays we have telephone. Telephone is a very important one, but we'll talk about that later. It has a lot of things to do with Latin. Anyway, so let's go back to the name, right? So we started creating things like table, soup, food. In your language, of course. In our language, we can use the chalkboard or some other words like that. Even eventually more complex. Love, which is the name for an emotion or a feeling. So, anyways, we have different types of names. Since I already got into emotions, we're gonna go for this one right here. Principal names, or the most important nouns. We have what we call the proper nouns. Proper nouns. Proper nouns are those that refer to physical entities that don't change, and they're just you could say well known by everybody else. For example, the name of a person, which could be, for example, Paul. Or it could be also the place, the name of a place. For example, Seoul. Or it could be also the name of a country, for example, the United States, which we're gonna use USA, the USA. I'm sorry, I think you cannot see it there, but it's the USA. And then we have also the name for some, I'm gonna erase this because I don't have a lot of space. So we're gonna use the names for animals. And of course, using some animals, like, in the Common Everyone series, we use the cheetah, the cow, the rabbit, the peacock, whatever you can tell me, horses. All of those are the animals, okay? And then we have also things. Things, right? Like I told you before, we start by naming the table, the chair, the floor, the ceiling, the lamps, things like that. The phone nowadays, okay? And there's something that we usually don't talk about, but it's the emotions or feelings. Emotions/feelings. Like love, okay? Love is blah, blah, blah. So love is also a noun. Sadness, N-E-S-S. We use the suffix N-E-S-S to make a noun. Okay, so anyways, emotions like those. But then, this is what we use to start calling things, okay? By far, to me, the most important part of a speech. Some other people might say, no, you are not telling the truth. The most important part of the speech is the number 2, which we call verb. Right? The verb is the action, what we do. Sometimes it's not an action, but it's an emotion, it's a feeling, But we're gonna say the action, okay? So verbs like eat, right? Work, talk, right? All of these verbs and so many more, those are the actions. Some people say this is the most important part of the speech because without it, there is no action, so you don't do nothing. What is good to have a chair for if you cannot do anything with the chair? You use a chair to sit down. Yes, you're right. You use a chair to sit down. But babies do not start learning the language by using the verbs because babies have no idea of the concept of time. But we do. So we do not use the verbs as the first or the main part of the sentence. I say, as many other people would say, the noun is the most important part of the sentence. And just think about it. When you have a dream, what do you see first? You don't see people doing things, you see yourself. You don't see yourself actually, but you see people doing things, right? You see the people. The dream is the people. You cannot just imagine jumping without somebody jumping. So anyways, the noun is the most important part of the sentence, okay? And then we're gonna go with the actions. Now we have these two. The two most important part of the sentence, we can already have a sentence. Like, I eat, boom, finished. Very simple, basic structure. We say, who, 누구, who, I. What? What do you do? What does I do? Talk, eat, work. So, I eat, I work, I talk. Okay? So those two are the first two parts of the sentence. The next one, it's when it starts getting more complicated. Of course, we all like it complicated and we make it more complicated. So for the next one, we're going to use something that most people have a lot of trouble, especially Korean people. We're going to call it the article. The article. Which one is the article? Well, in Korean, you have 이, you have 를, you have 가. I'm sorry. What else you have? I think some kind of like that. My favorite is E. Anyway, so I'm going to erase that because I'm not an expert in Korean and I'm not teaching you Korean today because you already know. But what I'm going to do is tell you which ones are the articles. Yes, you probably already guessed which ones are the articles. So we have three main articles, okay? We're going to call, this one is the first one, a, or some people call it a. The next one will be an, and the next one will be the. The. Okay? And the. But some people might also say we have some and any. And we're going to just use some. I'm not going to get into some because I need to explain to you more things to be able to understand what some is like when it comes to talking about articles. So we're gonna leave it like that right there. And of course, we do not write it always like that. We gotta use the lowercase forms, right? And the. So we're gonna go right here. Now the article in English, we put it before the noun. So we can say something like, we're gonna use maybe a, let's see, dog, okay? The noun dog. Now remember, we put it before the noun, so we're going to say a dog or a dog if you like to. So a dog, and then we're going to use barks. Okay, so a dog barks, and we already have the noun, the verb, and the article in our very simple, basic sentence. Okay, so a dog barks. But when do we use the an? Now this is tricky. We have about 6 or 7 different ways to use the an, but we're gonna just call it, actually not 6 or 7, it's about 2 or 3. But we're gonna say follow the sound. Follow the sound, okay? So the rule is, if you have A, E, I, O, and U starting your next word, then you use in. So for example, I'm gonna say apple, which is the most common one. Apple. Because we have the A right here, which is called a vowel, we're going to use a N. So an apple. An apple. So we call them vowels, like that, vowels, okay? Why do we say an apple? Because it's difficult for us to say apple. It's not an easy thing. It's not a natural sound produced by us. So in Korean, you also change some sounds. Like, let me see if I can remember. 감사합니다. Yes. 감사합니다. I don't know if you can see it here, but I'm going to write it down here a little bit. I think you have to excuse me, I'm not an expert in Korean. 감사합니다. Okay? So, 감사합니다. So I'll be telling you, hey, 감사합니다. Oh, but you don't say 감사합, right? 감사합니다. So you say 감사합니다. The B changes into M, 님, right? 감사합니다. 감사합니다. So the same situation here, because it becomes difficult to pronounce. We need to make sure that the sounds come out easy. The same thing happens with this one right here, with the vowels and with the article and. So an apple, an elephant, an igloo, an octopus, an orange, an umbrella. Okay? So just remember, because it's easier to pronounce, that's what we do. There's one special case. The word hour. An hour. An hour. Okay? So many kids, they have told me, teacher, that's hour because it's the sound. Yes, a hour. But there is no sound on this one right here. Okay? So, an hour. We don't go with the way we write, but with the way we pronounce. Remember that. That's what counts. So, an hour. Oh, some other people, my friends from England, actually, they might say something like, you're probably going to see this a lot. This word, beautiful word that we need to use it all the time, hospital. The hospital, right? So they say an hospital, because they do not have the sound on the H, an hospital. But we in America, at least in California, for sure, we don't use the N. I'm going to go to a hospital, because the H does have a sound in our English from America. So a hospital. This is correct, as well as this one here. Both of them are correct, okay? And if somebody says that you were wrong because you wrote A-N with the word hospital, tell them to come see me, and then we'll talk about that. So anyways, today, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to continue with the other parts of the sentence a little bit later. But today, I hope you can get through all of this little by little. Try to understand and remember the very basic foundation of the speech. Okay, these parts of the speech. We have about 8 or 9, so we're almost halfway through. Okay? Anyways, once again, Mr. C right here. I hope you can get something good out of this. And if you could please share my videos and like them, so a lot of people can get to understand what we do with grammar. Grammar is beautiful, actually. It's an amazing thing. I love grammar because it makes my life easier so that I can speak clearly and in a very proper and formal way to other people when I need to. I also can speak some slang, but not a lot because I'm not from the street. I'm not from the hood, like people would say. I'm actually from a different kind of neighborhood. So anyways, once again, Mr. C, I hope you like it, and you'll see me in the next one, okay?